Harsh Kanwar. Welcome to Oddballs and Outcasts. We've overshot our start time, but I'm so glad to have you here. You've come from Mumbai, so I appreciate that. And before we get started, can you just tell everyone about yourself?
So, I'm Harsh and I am a fitness creator and a medical professional at the same time. I do work out pretty often, of course, as I'm a fitness creator. And then apart from that, I like to play basketball and then I create a lot of content as well. So, yeah, that's me. And then you'll get to know a lot about me in the next hour as well.
Yeah, because that's how I found out about you. I got Aman on the podcast, and then he told me that you're someone who would be a good fit on the podcast. Then I checked out your Instagram profile, and it was just incredible. Like the amount of medical information you're giving out, the amount of myths that are out there. So you've really helped people understand a lot more about the fitness industry. So what made you like take up that initiative?
Oh, so this is a very interesting one. I When I was in 11th, I had started going to the gym. So I had a pretty dark phase till 10th. It was all quarantine. And after that, I started going to the gym in 11th. And I was actually PCM, so physics, chemistry, and maths. That means that I cannot give NEET, I cannot be a doctor.
Yeah.
I was all set to be an engineer. But then I started going to the gym. And I came across some biomechanics videos online. And then that piqued my interest a bit into understanding more. And then it just suddenly changed the dynamic of my professional career as well. Initially, I was set to be an engineer. And there was a friend with me who used to go to the gym with me on a daily basis. And then he was also PCM. And then one day we were just walking and then we decided, you know what, let's just switch to PCMB. So he switched to PCB. I switched to PCMB, which is physics, chemistry, maths, and bio. Only because of the gym, because all of fitness was very interesting, and then thought, you know what, let's just learn more about the human body. And what better than doing MBBS to learn about the human body? And then, everyone, there's too much to study about in MBBS, right? So everyone just tries to scare the shit out of you. They're like, there's too much to study, don't take MBBS. Like, especially the people at MBBS will tell you that.
Yeah.
So I used to tell everyone कि नहीं हो जाएगा, कुछ नहीं है ज़्यादा पढ़ने के लिए. I'll manage, I'll study a lot. But then now I realize that there's actually a lot left to study. So that way I switched from fitness. Fitness made me switch from PCM to PCMB. And then I was set to be an engineer, but now I'm doing MBBS. So that's.
And I think you got into it for the right reasons also, right? You didn't get into it because, okay, you saw there's money in medicine. It's something you realize that it's your passion. And going to the gym made you realize that you want to study more about the human body, how you can enhance your own performance and also help others. And that's what you've done with your Instagram account. So what led to your Instagram account? It was joining ADU that...
No. So I recently joined ADU like 5 months ago. So that's a whole new conversation. But before that, I think a year and a half ago, I was, there's a friend, Tejas, who comes to the gym. He records a lot of videos for himself. He used to. And I used to be that cameraman to help him record the videos. One day I was like, you know what? Just help me record a video too.
Yeah, it's my time to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, I just made an edit. Like, don't do your dumbbell rows like this. Keep your hand behind and do your dumbbell rows. And then that video got 5,000 views. So luckily for me, the first video I've ever made at 100 followers, I had about 5,000 views. So I was like, you know what? This is interesting. Let's just dive deeper into it. And getting into the professional side of health and human understanding, I started learning a lot about fitness on my own, reading a lot of literature, running, all around, learning more about nutrition and exercise. So I thought, you know what, like while I study, whatever I find interesting, I'll start documenting it. So one of the first talking head videos, which is basically me explaining science on social media, was a video of me talking about prostaglandins, which is basically a hormone. So that was something I had read the same day, and then I spoke about it on camera.
What was it like? Can you tell me also?
So it was to understand how Volini helps you relieve pain. So Volini doesn't exactly cause any healing or prevent any pain as such.
I think it reduces the swelling or something, right? Or what does it do?
It does. It reduces pain as well, but not directly. What it does is it causes pain more than the pain you're experiencing for a short period of time. That's why you feel that burning sensation.
Oh, that instant.
Yeah. And that distracts, you could say it distracts your nervous system into feeling that you're not feeling the old pain anymore. So that is the mechanism with which Volini works. And prostaglandins is basically a hormone, you could say, and it mediates a lot of interactions inside of your body. So this was one of the first talking head videos I made. And then so I just, every day I go to the gym, I think of something interesting, and I'm learning and I'm making content at the same time. So that's what happened. And then one day I decided that, I'll start filming content every day. I'll just start telling people more about fitness and nutrition. So there was nothing specific that I had to achieve in terms of content creation. Like, I didn't care much about making money or gaining popularity.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know it was this serious. Content creation could be this serious till like very recently. So I was just showing up on camera, talking about a lot of stuff. And then one day I was like, you know what? I decided to make content every day. One day I didn't have a lot of time. I wanted to go play basketball. So I had about 5 minutes to make a piece of video and then post it. So I just opened my camera and I was like, I just had creatine. So let's make a video on creatine. And I made a video on creatine, side effects of taking creatine that no one talks about. It improves your brain health as well. That was the gist of the video. And I just made it in 5 minutes and posted it. By the time I came back from basketball, 2 hours of basketball, it was at 100k views. And I was like, what the hell?
This was on Instagram?
Yeah. And then every hour it's increasing by 100k. In the morning, it's about 700k views. Next day, it's 1.8 million, 2 million, 4 million. Like, man, this is crazy. Then I had 10k followers the next day, the next week. Then I decided, okay, I have 10k followers, and now I have to make content.
Yeah.
So that's how it began. And then, I think you could say content creation is something you learn along the way, rather than you decide to do it.
Yeah.
And then you can't just show up on social media and make your first video the best video.
Absolutely.
So that's essentially how it started.
Because even I was seeing your earlier videos and I'm comparing them to now, you look so much more confident in front of camera and all that, and that's the process, right?
Yeah.
And also you've documented everything you've done so people know that you're coming from a point of authority.
Yeah.
Because there are some people who are just going to say things for the heck of it just to gain views, but they don't really have that backing.
Yeah.
So, and you also like publish the evidence too when you're talking, and also you're reacting to certain influencers and all of that. I just saw one video recently you did where you were talking about the chest exercises. So can you tell me what the ideal way to work out your chest is? Because you were saying dumbbell press is not the ideal way to do it.
Oh, so that's not what I said. There was, I think this one is yesterday or day before yesterday. So it's basically a new machine is there, right? The chest barbell machine, which with, I think the squeeze bar, it's called the squeeze bar. So I was just saying how the dumbbell acts differently than what a barbell does.
Okay.
And that's why, when you're lifting, say doing a chest movement, you are able to lift 25 from both hands, which is total of 50 kgs.
Yeah.
But with a barbell, you're able to lift about 100 kgs. So why is that? I was just explaining the force in that. So yeah, the dumbbell is better than a normal barbell bench press.
Okay.
But it was just differentiating as to why you can lift more. That doesn't mean that it's better.
Okay, but what would you would recommend both to be done, or?
I would recommend neither. If you have a good gym, why not just work on a chest machine? So,
you mean the
chest presses?
The chest presses, okay.
Yeah, if you've got a good chest press. So the gym I go to, it has a Precker gym machine.
Okay.
Precker chest machine. So that's pretty good. But I've also gone to other gyms where the chest machines aren't really great. So in that case, you'll have to, find the right fit for you.
But how do you know if the machine is right? Because they might say, okay, this is a chest press machine. You need to be sure it's right.
Yeah. So if it's like a piece of expensive equipment, most of it is generally good.
Okay.
So Jirai is good, Precker is good. The one that I'm talking about, I think that's Fitline. So that wasn't really great. But that's probably because they just got the wrong chest press. So these machines are very expensive, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs per machine. So a lot of thought goes into designing that machine.
Yeah.
And it also depends upon your individual dimensions as well. So for someone like me, I have slightly narrow shoulder structure. My shoulder to waist ratio is not that big.
Okay.
But for someone like, say, any bodybuilder who has a very V back, they generally have their bones which are wider because they have great genetics.
Yeah.
So for people who can properly arc their thoracic cavity and their back, and they can properly stretch their muscles, their chest muscles. They can lift better weight, and it provides more force application in the work, in the exercise. So for someone like me, I think the flies don't do very great because I'm unable to target the chest muscles specifically, the upper chest. But for me, I think the chest press that I was talking about, the Precker machine does pretty good. And the dumbbells are something I add along the side. So if I'm doing, let's say, 6 to 8 sets of chest a day, it'll mostly be 3 sets of the machine, 3 sets of the flies, the machine flies, and 2 sets of dumbbells.
But when you do dumbbells, do you do as flat or incline, decline?
So ideally, the decline is a waste of time, energy, space.
Why would you say that?
It's just terrible. It's unstable, and it doesn't provide the best resistance profile. So you're actually failing not because your muscles are fatigued, but you're failing because your weight is you can't manage the weight anymore. It's getting off balance. It starts shaking.
Yeah, that does happen when I do decline. Yeah.
So if, for example, if you do a bicep curl, for example, you're able to properly fatigue your muscles, and then once you're not able to lift anymore, then you stop the exercise.
Yeah.
But in the decline bench or the decline dumbbell press, for example, if you're doing, let's say 15 reps, maybe at the 13th rep, you will start feeling balance failure. So there's muscle failure, there's balance failure. So once that shaking starts happening, then it's, threat to safety as well. And then you think of, let's just stop.
Yeah, let's just throw the...
Yeah, so you're not exactly stopping because you've trained your muscles efficiently, but you're stopping because the balance is lost. So that is one point as to why I don't recommend the decline press. Plus, so the chest muscles, all of them, so they start from the collarbone here, the clavicle, they're at the sternum as well. So 3 origins are there: the clavicle, the sternum, and the aponeurosis of your abdominal muscles. So this is where the muscle starts, and all of these muscles just come here, they twist around the fibers twist around, and then they attach on your humerus, the arm. So whenever you perform any sort of adduction and shoulder flexion, so something like this and something like this, all your fibers contract. So it's not like if you do a incline press, then your lower chest muscles won't be used. They will be used a slightly in a slightly lesser amount, but they will still be used. So if you really want to work on your lower chest muscles specifically, which I don't think is a need for someone unless you're a professional bodybuilder.
Okay.
Because your goal is to put on as much muscle mass as possible quickly.
Yeah.
But for a bodybuilder, they've already put a lot of muscle. They want to shape their muscles well. They want to define their muscles well. They want to target the muscles which are not pretty good.
Yeah.
So what I think is that the bias, you've probably heard of this, ki upper chest को ऐसे train करना है, lower को ऐसे train करना है, middle को ऐसे train करना है. That shouldn't exist. You should just go for overall chest training and try to get 8 sets of chest. And people at the gym, whenever you start off, people tell you that the chest is a major muscle and the biceps is a minor muscle and the triceps is a minor muscle. But if you check out the volume of muscles, it's actually pretty similar. The chest and the biceps, they actually have the same amount of muscle mass. You're just able to lift more with your chest muscles because they are placed in a specific manner.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that it's a major muscle in terms of muscle volume. So,
but is that an indicator of overall strength?
What?
Like if you can bench more compared to how much you can, do bicep curls, is that an indicator of overall strength?
So I'll come to that as well. But before that, let's talk about the chest exercises. People who want to train chest at the gym, what they start off is, let's do a barbell bench press, and we'll do an incline bench press, then decline, then we'll go to the chest press machine, then the dumbbell press, and then the chest flies. So that's just too much of chest training. If your biceps and your chest have similar amounts of muscle mass, then why are you doing 4 sets of training for your biceps, but 12 to 15 sets of training for your chest? So it shouldn't be like that. You should, have good quality volumes rather than high quantity volumes. But talking about the strength. So strength in a particular movement is specific to that movement. If I tell you that Eddie Hall, who deadlifts like 500 kgs, is the strongest man in the world, that wouldn't make sense. He's the strongest man to deadlift in the world. If I ask you that, okay, let's take Ronaldo over here, we'll take Eddie Hall over here. Who can kick a football farther away, or who can generate more force in a kick?
Yeah.
It'll obviously be Ronaldo, right? So if Eddie Hall is the strongest man in the world, how is Ronaldo able to kick stronger than he is? So that means strength is not defined as your squat, bench, deadlift. It's rather defined by the movement you want to test your strength in. Yes, we can keep certain parameters to understand who is a strong person. And a strong person will generally be able to squat, bench, deadlift more than a weak person as well. But just because a particular person is able to, if you take two muscular people and one can squat more, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is stronger. All right. So even with regards to calisthenics, people say that if you do weightlifting, you will train your muscles. If you do calisthenics, you will train your strength. But you're not exactly training strength anywhere. You're training the skill of doing calisthenics. So people need to start understanding the difference between strength and skill. That is what is important. And yeah, it's obvious that if someone is strong, then he will be able to deadlift, squat and bench more than someone who's weak. But if that guy turns out to be a footballer, then he might be able to kick farther away or stronger than the strong person. So that's how strength should be classified.
And should the workout routines be different for an athlete as compared to someone who's just going to the gym just for the strength? Like say for example a footballer, they would mainly focus on their lower body. Do you think that focusing on their upper body might be harmful in the long run in terms of getting the best out of them in the peak years they have? Like the peak years for a footballer might be in the late 20s to the early 30s.
So this might sound like I'm trying to teabag everyone, but then
you can, man. Go ahead.
I think the athletes, especially a lot of them, have got their training wrong. You don't really need to train game specific movements at the gym. Something like training a football kick at the gym.
That's pointless.
Yeah, that's pointless. Or even doing plyometrics. Some plyometrics are, I think, an absolute waste of time. I've seen basketball athletes do this. They try to train their vertical jump at the gym, or they try to do a hack squat, which mimics the vertical jump. But I'll tell you a quick fact. So when you're kicking a football or you're sprinting, when you sprint, you actually experience force that is as good as a 200 kg squat. So the force that you experience while playing a sport is something you cannot experience at the gym.
Yeah.
Right? And the gym is better in terms of maintaining your health than a sport due to this very reason. So parents generally discourage their children to go to the gym, and they tell them that you will get injured, or exams hai mat jao, kuch kharab ho jayega, injury ho jayegi. But if you work out well, then it's actually safer at the gym than while trying to play a sport, because here you can control the forces that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
You can keep 20 kgs on the bar, or you can keep 10 kgs on the bar, or you can select 45 kgs on the machine, and you can calculate exactly how much force you're experiencing. So it's much safer if you're smart. But if you're mindlessly working out at the gym, that is not very safe, is what I feel. But coming back to the same question, so if you're an athlete, athletes feel or experience force which is much, much greater, or very versatile or volatile, or very different from what you would experience at the gym. At the gym, you train your muscles in a very growth specific way, right? You try to train, if you're training right, if you want to grow muscles, what you do is that, let's say I have my bicep over here. All right. So this is the strongest part of the bicep. This is the weakest part of the bicep, because this is the lengthened portion and this is the shortened portion.
Yeah.
So in the lengthened part, the bicep will be able to produce most force. So what you can do is specifically create a movement or an exercise where you experience the most force down here. So you train your muscles with more weight when the muscles are stronger, and you train your muscles with slightly, gradually decreasing weight when the muscles are weaker, so that you can properly reach that fatigue and reach the movement failure and the muscle failure at the same time to get the best results. That is what you do at the gym. But while playing a sport, you experience much different forces. Sometimes in some ranges of motion, you have almost no force, which you may train at the gym. So let's say I'm playing basketball, I'm shooting like this. I probably have no tension on my bicep over here, right? But um, when I've shot the ball, there's an excess amount of tension on my elbow joint, and even my shoulder joint. So that's why you will see that athletes who use their upper body and they work out in a wrong manner at the gym, if they do barbell bench presses, they do shoulder presses, they get shoulder injuries, which are very common. Even for footballers, they get knee injuries, they get hip injuries,
hamstring injuries.
Hamstring injuries. So that's because no matter how much you train, kitna bhi bada body bana lo, when you're playing a sport, you're going to experience forces which you can't control of. So the best way to train yourself or improve yourself at sport is by playing the sport. That's it. So if you're someone who wants to improve your performance, then you need to have a session of muscle training that is revolving around growing muscles rather than revolving around copying the same movements you would experience at the field. So for example, in my case, I have to jump if I want to dunk, or if I want to get a rebound, or I have to shoot like this if I want to shoot the ball. If I start picking up dumbbells and practicing this movement, I'm not going to be able to replicate the force I'm experiencing. So the best way for me to make my shooting more efficient is by just shooting more and shooting every single day. Similarly for football, if you're passing the ball, since you play football, I'll cover that as well. If you're passing the ball, you're shooting the ball, you will not be able to replicate the muscle, the movement, the force that you're experiencing at the gym. You will have to do it at the field itself. And that is something that is a must do. You need to have one gym session to strengthen your muscles overall, to have that ability to produce force. All right. But you don't necessarily need to experience the same forces to do that. So at the gym, you should be growing your muscles. आपको muscles को strengthen करना है, you need to be able to produce more force. And then at the field, you need to, specifically curate your forces or your muscles in a way that you are able to do that movement and do it efficiently. If I'm, say, passing a football, say 100 meters. So I should be able to do that using the strength of my muscles at the gym, which I've trained. I've strengthened my hip flexors, I've strengthened my quads, I've strengthened my calves at the gym. And then I am targeting the skill part of it. I'm targeting the precision part of it at the field. So the combination of the both of these is the best for training your athletic performance, is what I feel.
Okay. And before we started recording, you told me that you can train all parts of your body in one day and you don't need that much time also. So how do you go about that?
So you essentially should be doing this if you want to put on muscle quickly. Now what tends to happen is that the muscle protein synthesis. So what happens is when you train your muscles, they don't grow immediately. And everyone knows that, right? Your muscles break down and then they heal when you sleep or when you eat protein, and then they grow. So this process is called as muscle protein synthesis. So when muscle protein synthesis is greater than muscle protein breakdown, which happens on a daily basis. So this is called as gluconeogenesis. So you try to generate glucose, and then you can break down fats, you can break down muscles, you can break down other compounds into glucose when you have a deficiency of glucose. So some amount of muscle protein breakdown happens inside of your body. And it's healthy also in terms of recovery and replenishing the organs and the muscles. But when you increase your muscle protein synthesis more than muscle protein breakdown, that's when you grow muscles. So muscle protein synthesis basically occurs due to a cascade of enzymatic reactions inside of your body. So enzymes work around, and I know too much science, but
you can probably simplify it for me.
Yeah, you've got enzymes, and then when you train muscles, they get activated, and they cause muscle protein synthesis. So Once that is higher than muscle protein breakdown, you get bigger muscles, as simple as that. Now, research says that muscle protein synthesis is not a, once you train, it doesn't go like this. It goes like this. So, if I train today, if I train my chest, say today, and tomorrow I have, my muscle protein synthesis is at peak. After 24 hours, it's at peak, my muscle growth. And then it starts falling down again and again. So, if you're waiting 3 days to get to your next chest workout, that is 2 days that you've missed out on having your muscle protein synthesis at peak.
Okay.
So if you train your chest every single day instead and activate muscle protein synthesis, then you'll likely get bigger muscles than you would if you train it once or twice a week. So now the number one question that people ask is, what about recovery? So if you want to manage recovery is firstly very lifestyle based. If you do say 3 sets of chest every single week and then suddenly you're increasing to 6 sets of chest, then it's going to be sore. But if you do 6 sets of chest every single day for the next 3 months or 4 months, after that you might not get sore anymore, right? So recovery adapts to the stimulus you provide to your body. And if you can do a full body workout every single day without overtraining, just doing 2 sets per muscle group, but doing it intense. So 1 warm-up set and 2 intense sets of training your muscles. And that is more than enough to keep your muscle protein synthesis at peak.
So can you break down the exercises?
So let's say if you want to make a full body split, right? What you can do is, instead of doing the same exercises every single day, which might get boring, you can choose alternate exercises and you can create 2 splits. Or you can create 3 splits. So a full body 1, full body 2, full body 3. And then you can break down exercises in that routine. So you can have, let's say, if I want to train my chest here, I'll do a machine chest press. Here I'll do a machine chest fly. Here I may do a Smith machine barbell bench press, or I may do a dumbbell press, depending on my preference. Then similarly for back, I can do a lat pull down here. I can do a cable row here. And I can do maybe a narrow grip pull down, or I can do pull-ups on the third day. So let's talk about just 2 splits rather than 3. So you've got your back, then you've got your biceps. So for biceps, one day you can train in the lengthened position, so an elbow supported bicep curl, and one day you can train in the shortened position, so a preacher curl, right? Machine preacher curl. And then for triceps, you can train in the lengthened and in the shortened. So one day you can train tricep push downs, and one day you can train overhead tricep extensions. Similarly for so that's about your upper body. For shoulders, you can just do lateral raises on one day, and you can do rear delt flies and front presses on the other day. So that's about your upper body. And you can also train your traps, you can train your neck, you can train your abs.
What are exercises for the neck?
So pretty simple, like you just lie on a bench, once on your stomach, on your belly, and once on your back. And you just take a plate, and then you can lean your head off the bench, and then you can just perform neck flexions.
Okay.
And you can perform neck extensions. So as simple as that. These are the 2 exercises you can do to train your neck muscles. So you've got your sternocleidomastoid over here, this muscle.
Okay.
And then you've got a lot of muscles in the neck which you can train. So I'll not go into the specific scientific details, but these 2 more than enough train it. And you can also do lateral ones. So one is like this, one is going behind, one is coming ahead, and then one is training like this and this. So with some weight on your head. So that will train your neck muscles. You can train your abs, you can train your traps, you can train your teres minor, teres major, rhomboids, your lower back muscles, your mid back muscles, and you can train them, select one exercise on every single day. So that way you're covering all the parts of your body on every single day, but you're doing separate exercises as well. So, and then you can add leg workouts, so leg extensions on one day and leg curls on one day, and the other day you could do something like a Smith machine squat or a hack squat, and you can do calves with it. So ideally you have to give some stimulus to all your muscles, but you need to keep on changing the workout routine so that it doesn't get boring. That's what you do.
So then coming to legs, we said that both of us don't like leg days. What is the solution, and how do you start liking leg days? Because for me, I'm sore 2-3 days later. I can't play football. If I'm going swimming the next day, it becomes a challenge for me. So what do I do?
So is that the only reason why you hate leg days, or is there anything else as well?
I mean, I feel that my upper body is much more toned and I enjoy the gains. I see instant gains rather than the leg day, which takes time. And also, my football is not as usual, so my calves are not what they once were. So that's one of the main reasons.
So do you also hate training legs at the gym, or when you do it, you like it?
Actually, when I do it, I don't really mind it.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in the gym, I'm in that zone. And then I just enjoy it. And it gives me that dopamine hit. So whatever I'm doing, I enjoy. But then after that, for the next 2 days, I don't really like it. And then when I see my overall body getting toned at a much quicker rate as compared to my legs, I'd say, why?
Yeah.
So what do I do about it?
So there's people who don't like leg days because they're too intense, and there's people who don't like leg days because you're sore for a very long time.
I think I'll be the latter. Yeah.
Glad that you're in the latter one. So because the first one is a mindset problem, you'll have to change that.
Yeah. And if you find it too intense, you can just make it less intense and then gradually up the intensity.
And I've also made a video on this. If you skip leg days, then you might have lesser upper body growth as well.
Okay.
Because as I said, you release enzymes and your legs are like 55% of your entire muscle mass. If you don't train that, you won't have those enzymes in your blood in a suitable manner. So you should be training legs. If you're doing the full body split, then every single day just 2 sets of any 2 or 3 leg muscles is enough.
Okay.
But if you're doing a dedicated leg day, then how you can avoid this problem of soreness, especially athletes? I think every athlete has this problem. That you just can't play efficiently if you've got sore leg muscles or if you've got fatigue leg muscles. So what you do in this case is that you don't overtrain your muscles, which is what a lot of people do for their legs, and which is what a lot of people do for their chest as well. So I think I've already spoken about the chest.
You've spoken, yeah.
All the exercises. For legs, what people do is they come to the gym, they do a barbell squat or a Smith machine squat. Or I think I've seen people do both the same workout. So they do a barbell squat, they do the dumbbell squats, goblet squats, hack squats, pendulum squats, Smith machine.
They're just doing too many squats basically.
Yeah, too many squats. Sumo squats, and then like abhi andar ka bhi train karna hai to sumo squats, and then leg extensions, then hamstring curls, then calves. Finally they come to calves. So after all of that, if you're training calves, you won't be able to train it efficiently.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like these who have helped understand the mechanics behind the leg extension, they've all felt so good training their leg extensions. It's crazy because people do an entire workout and then come to leg extensions, which is the best quad exercise there is. So when you come to the best machine after the entire workout, you just don't have that strength or that even mental willpower to push a lot in that exercise. So you need to select the most efficient exercises, which I've done to help improve my vertical. And I do keep on posting a lot of videos on dunking as well. So if you've seen my jump, it's pretty high, and I've done that just by doing leg extensions. Leg extensions, hamstring curls, hip thrusts on the leg extension machine itself. I don't have a separate machine, so I do it on the same machine. And I train my calves. Now, if you're a football athlete or a basketball athlete and you play on a regular basis and you play intense, if you're an athlete by profession, all right, not someone who just goes to play, then you are already training your muscles in a very intense manner. And you don't really need to specifically train a lot at the gym. So if you're having a dedicated leg day, 3 sets of leg extensions, 3 sets of hamstring curls, 3 sets of hip thrusts for your glutes, because you need glutes for the vertical, and about 4 to 5 sets of calves.
But calves, what do you mean? The one on your shoulder where you're constantly rising and...
Yeah, so the standing raises is there.
Standing raises,
and the seated raises are also there.
So both of them you're saying?
Yeah.
5 in total?
You could alternate every workout. So 4 sets, not 5. 4 would be enough, but train it efficiently. What I've seen a lot of people do is they don't spend enough time in the bottom range of motion. So you need to start contracting properly and you need to start stretching properly and controlling it properly throughout the workout and throughout the exercise. So 4 sets of calves is also pretty good. That's more than enough. And yeah, that's essentially it. So 3, 3, 3, 9 plus 4, 12 sets, 13 sets, you're done with your leg workout. You won't be sore anymore because the volume is too less and it won't cause a lot of muscle breakdown at the gym, and the soreness will be reduced, but muscle protein synthesis will be on peak. So,
and what about the leg press? Is that a redundant machine?
you don't specifically need to do it, is what I think. But um, if you've not got a good leg extension, or if you just want change, then you can do a leg press as well. Because essentially, what you're training there is you can just train your abductors a bit more. So if you've got a abductor machine, or if you play a sport, again for an athlete, you're already training your minor leg muscles very efficiently while playing, because there's lateral movement, there's backwards movement, there's front movement, there's sprinting, and there's back running. So everything is there. So you're already training your muscles very efficiently. So now your goal should be to train the big muscles of your legs and focus on overall growth rather than trying to specifically target some muscles. Now what happens in the leg press again is that you don't lose the movement because of fatigue of your muscles. You lose it because you're just not able to coordinate the movement anymore, or you're just not able to push without your legs shaking, or you're not able to keep it very stable. So in this situation, it doesn't turn out to be a great exercise for fatigue, but you can keep on adding it. It's all safe for your joint. So a good leg press is pretty good and can be added. But if you need a quick and short workout and you don't want to be too sore, then I don't see any utility as to adding a leg press in your workout.
And what about squats and lunges? Not needed?
Absolutely not.
Why do you say that?
So they're just too unstable, and they put a lot of pressure. They increase the joint forces on your knee joint. So you don't want that, especially if you're playing.
Yeah.
Because if you've experienced so much force, you're going to recover around your joints as well. And if you experience a bad force while playing, an injurious force while playing, and you're in the recovery phase over there, it's not yet healed completely, then it might increase your risk of injuries. And the same thing that happens with shoulder injuries is that people who play basketball, they get a lot of shoulder injuries, shoulder and elbow. And why that happens is because of bad exercise selection at the gym and playing basketball at the same time. So even knee injuries are very common in basketball as well. So football also definitely very common. But in basketball, when people land after the jump, they end up getting ankle injuries and they end up getting knee injuries. So in that case also, you just need wiser exercise selection to prevent a lot of time for recovery and to prevent injuries at the same time. That's essentially what you need to do.
And then how do you go about strengthening your knee? Just leg extensions is the best thing?
So,
or do you say any free weight exercises that can help?
So again, as I said, it depends on your case use. If you're an athlete,
just say for a normal person.
For a normal person, why are you strengthening your knee joint?
I mean, it isn't a good thing to do. Isn't it something that will give you...
If you're training at the gym, you're training your muscles, you're strengthening everything. So the only forces you experience is at the gym. And people say कि squat is a natural movement, so I need to do a squat. Why? Because अगर ज़मीन से किसी को उठाना होगा, so I squat. But how much do you lift from the ज़मीन? 40 kgs, 50 kgs tops. Why are you doing a 120 kg squat? So this concept of natural movement firstly is flawed. And secondly, the most amount of force that you'll experience as a normal person if you're working out is while working out. So if you're training your muscles, you don't need to bulletproof your knees for anything else. As long as you're working out well, you're training your muscles, you're training your joints, and you're increasing bone density as well at the same time. So if you're an athlete and you're injured, then you can strengthen with specific protocols, which is too deep. I mean, I could make another YouTube video on it. So you could strengthen your joints separately for that. But if you're just a normal person, you don't need to specifically strengthen anything unless you have an injury. So you could use recovery protocols, recovery exercises, recovery nutrition. But most joint injuries, they just improve with exercise. They don't heal with exercise. For healing, you need to give time. That's essentially how joint injuries work. So, yeah.
And when it comes to cardio, do you say it's a must for everybody?
Yeah.
Or if they play a sport or if they do something else like swimming or something, then they can avoid it? Or you think everyone should still put in a certain amount of time doing cardio in the gym?
I think everyone should do cardio, but not at the gym. I think cardio at the gym is
Pointless.
not pointless. It is. It does have a lot of utility.
But not as effective as it would
No,
be, say,
not
running
even
or
that.
something.
See, when you talk about effectiveness of an exercise,
Hmm.
it boils down to your mental motivation as well, and how you think and how you feel, and what the conditions are as well. So, if you're, no one is mentally perfect, even the best of the best. They have their doubts, right? So, if you're someone who can do what you want to do at the gym, on the treadmill, then it is next level for you. But you won't see any runners training long distance on a treadmill,
No.
right? Even if it helps them maintain the pace, right? If they want to, if you run on a treadmill and you run on a road, then you're likely to run more on the treadmill if you have that same motivation.
Yeah.
But when you're running on a treadmill, it's just boring after a point of time. So you can't run for a long period of time. Let's say I give you some external motivation and tell you, भाई तू 5 किलोमीटर भाग के बता मैं तेरे को 1,000 रुपये दूंगा. Then you might run 5 kilometers on the treadmill, right? But if you do it on your own, you might just get bored and give up at 4 kilometers. And if I tell you that run 5 kilometers on a treadmill and run 5 kilometers on a road, and I give you 1,000 rupees for both of them, then you will run quicker on the treadmill, because here your pace is managed by the machine and not by yourself.
So you know how long you have to be running to achieve that.
That as well, and then you don't have to control the speed you're running. So what happens is when you run on a road and you're not an experienced runner. So I was into marathon about 2-3 years ago, and then I shifted to gym and basketball afterwards. So speaking from experience, what happens is you're not able to maintain the same pace while running. Let's say you take a turn and empty road, right? Not beautiful, terrible buildings. Then you get slightly bored and you reduce your pace. And then you make another turn. You see 3 hot women going in front of you. Now you're full speed. So that pace keeps on changing while you're running. So at the treadmill, you can just set a pace and you can stick to the pace without having to specifically control it with your body. And that helps you run more efficiently and run longer as well. But for that, you need that motivation on the treadmill as well to run for a long period of time. So that's the... so what were we discussing? I forgot.
We were basically talking about the importance of cardio and why everyone should.
So the everyone should do cardio, but not at the gym, is what I feel, because of this reason. That
So how should they do their cardio? What do you think is the ideal way?
So at the gym, since you cannot control your motivation, it's something that you should do if you don't have anything else. But if you have a team sport that you can get in, then that's the best. Because when you play a team sport, you don't need motivation. Because if you don't run, then everyone else around you will scream at you and make you run. So there you're doing cardio with intensity, with fun, and with people around you who are motivating you indirectly. So team sport will help you do more cardio and lose more weight if that's your goal, and be more efficient with your fitness goals and improving your endurance than running on a treadmill will. But if you don't have any sport to go to, then you can, what I would recommend is run outside, because there you have a lot of things to look at and a lot of things to think. When you're running, then the 2 things that you should focus on is, number 1, you don't need to focus on your breathing. The breathing should be voluntary. The second you focus on trying to adjust your breathing rate, that's when a lot of problem happens, because now you have to actively control how much you're breathing. Pehle it was involuntary, it's just happening. So now when you feel breathless, you realize that, okay, now I'm breathless. But wahan par the brain is doing everything for you on autopilot. Now you're controlling the thing, so you have to put some focus onto that. But this is, a slight deviation from the topic. But point is, when you're running, 2 things you should focus on is, 1, don't think about your breathing, let it go on autopilot. And number 2 is, keep thinking about something or the other. Keep listening to the songs and reach your goal without actively focusing that I am running 2 kilometers. It should rather be, I am running 1 song of 4 minutes, or I am running 2 songs of 8 minutes. So that will, while you're vibing to the song, you've already covered 500 meters, 1 kilometer. So that is more efficient to reach your goal. The worst part about cardio is that people don't have that patience and motivation, especially after COVID, since everyone has taken a hit to their focus and their motivation. It's hard to be true to what you want to do in terms of your cardio, and no one does running anymore. Everyone is just walking on incline and doing the elliptical and doing the cycling. No one is running, but I think you should run, unless you're of course over the age of 60 and you have joint pain and all that and you have injuries. Then in that case you should not. But I think your cardio should be interesting and you should be finding out new things to do every single day, such that you don't get bored and you do it diligently on a daily basis. So
what do you personally do?
What do? I play basketball 3 hours on a daily basis.
Okay, so that's your
that's
cardio
a must.
Yeah.
That's a must. If I don't play basketball, let's say it's raining, then I go for a run. If I can't run, I go for a swim. If I can't swim, I'll go on the gym treadmill. But I will run. I can't sleep without working out. That's something that I've developed over the couple of years, and I think that's something that everyone needs to do. Fitness should rather be a habit for you than being something
like
which
a
you're
choice,
forced to do to lose weight. So if you focus more on building habits rather than building a physique or losing fat, then I think that would be more optimal in the long run. So yeah, I personally, this is my cardio. But if I plan out a cardio session for anyone else, I usually just say you have to do 30 minutes of cardio twice.
Okay.
So especially if it's a busy person, right? They don't have more than an hour or 2 hours tops to work out in the entire day. So 45 minutes at the gym, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. If you can't do anything, just go for a walk after dinner.
Yeah.
At least do that in the evening. And in the morning, go for a 30-minute cardio session. Isme, you have to do intense cardio. No walking on the treadmill, no walking 10,000 steps, no calculating steps and all that. You could say less intense stuff. I wouldn't say weak because that's triggering for a lot of people. But it isn't very intense, and you don't have that adrenaline rush. You don't have that feeling of not being able to breathe right in your workouts. So just walking steps it will work. Everything is good.
But where do you think that walking steps thing has come from? Like the 10,000 target. I've heard so many people saying that's my target. Why do you think that is why do people do that?
It's come from something that is the very least you should do. Let's say a sick person goes to a doctor. The doctor says sugar avoid karo. Doctor will say 10,000 steps chalo. So they've got these regulations which, if I am a doctor and I'm dealing with 100 patients a day, I can just go and track their workouts on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
So I tell them 10,000 step करना है. मतलब इतना तो करना है at least. And it will give you results. It's like saying कि रॉनी कोलमैन ने स्क्वाट करके बॉडी बना दी. तो बॉडी तो बनेगी स्क्वाट करने से, बट जॉइंट्स के लिए कौन सा सेफ है? दैट इज a Smith machine squat maybe, or a leg extension. So you will get results with 10,000 steps also. But if you want better results, quicker results, and stronger endurance, stronger health, then go for intense sessions. As simple as that. So you could just spread out through 7 days. You could repeat once every 4 days. One day you can have 30 minutes of running. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're spending 30 minutes of running, then you're just running the entire time. Just run with intensity. Once you're tired, take a 2-minute walk and then start running again. Tired, break, run, tired, break, run. So do it for 30 minutes. You should keep everything away, phone side mein, sab kuch side mein, and 30 minutes dedicated to exercise is dedicated to good cardio, intense cardio is the goal. So that you can get your fight hormones outside. You can get your enzymes and everything released properly. So yeah, that's and in fact exercise improves your digestion, it improves your thought process, it makes you think clearly, and everything it just happens when you spend a lot of time doing nothing but exercising. So that's what you want to do. So one day you could do 30 minutes of running, one day you could do cycling or swimming for 30 minutes or an hour if you have that. One day you could go for a team sport. So say people like you, for example, busy people, if you've got once a day for football, then or twice a day for twice a week for football, then 2 days football in a week, 2 days cardio jogging in the week, 2 days swimming or cycling, and one day you could just go play something else, play badminton. You could go for anything you like to do, but just something intense. That intensity has to be there in cardio, is what I feel. And not having that is largely one of the main reasons as to why people get heart disease or heart problems. It's because even bodybuilders, for instance, you can be a gym trainer, you can be a fitness freak, and you can still have heart problems because you are training your muscles, but you're not training your cardiovascular system efficiently. So cardio is important not just from a losing weight perspective, but also from a muscle growth perspective and also from a health perspective. So I think I've shared a study for this as well. When you perform cardio and muscle training at the same time, it actually gets you more results in terms of gaining muscle and losing fat than only muscle training or only cardio. So if you lose X fat doing only cardio, you will lose more fat doing cardio and strength training, which everyone knows.
Yeah.
But if you do only muscle training, then you will gain lesser muscle than you do if you do muscle training and cardio at the same time.
That's not as well known.
Yeah. So that's slightly not popular.
And also when you're giving advice to people who consume alcohol and cigarettes and all of that, what is the advice you would give them apart from quitting it? Like if they still want to focus on the gym, they're still diligent, but that is their vice. How do they handle it?
So people who are addicted to either alcohol, smoking, or tobacco or something like that, or any drug, I never tell them to just quit because that's
easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a coach and let's say you're paying me a fee and I have to coach you, and I tell you just quit, that doesn't mean you'll quit just because you've paid me a fee.
Exactly.
If you could have quit, you wouldn't have joined me in the first place.
Yeah.
So I tell them that we have to work on reducing it throughout the weeks, so that you don't have any withdrawal symptoms. And there are 3 major problems, I could say. One is acceptance, one is the withdrawal problem, and one is the mindset problem. So firstly, drinkers. All right, we'll come to the alcohol one now. People who drink every single day. I've come across people who say it's not an addiction, I just like doing it and I don't want to change it. So people don't accept that it's become a habit or an addiction. And who doesn't know that alcohol is bad for health?
Yeah.
Everyone does, right? Smoking is bad for health. But people don't accept the fact that this is bad for you, and they're like, I don't want to quit, which is fine. If you don't want to quit, you don't want to quit. But if you want to work on your health, then you can't say ki I will keep going on the same path and I will keep drinking, keep smoking because I want to. Right? If you want to work on your health, it's fine if you enjoy it, but we need to find better sources of enjoyment. We need to find better sources to, go to and, do, like, for example, sports. So things that are giving you pleasure in which is good for you in the long run. Maybe working on your fitness, working out at the gym, playing a sport, all of that. So you need to start working on your withdrawal symptoms as well at the same time, in such a way that when you quit, you're able to not just quit efficiently, but also not fall back the second something wrong happens. And this is what happens especially with smokers. Once they quit for say a week or even 2 weeks, something bad happens, they feel low, they feel sad, see the tapri way they go. So that is something that you should avoid if you're trying to quit, and that cannot be done if you just wake up one day and decide aaj se I quit. That way you won't be able to quit. If there's people who at colleges and hostels who just have a cigarette lighted up throughout the day. Ek dabba khatam, next dabba. So if you're smoking, let's say 20 cigarettes a day, then take it to 19, take it to 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, and then make it a long-term commitment and accept the fact that you want to quit. If not want to quit, accept the fact that it's bad for you, and start realizing that you just need to control 2 things to be healthy, strong, fit, and everything that is good. One is what you put inside of your body, and second is how you work out. So the workout thing can be managed. Even if it's a drinker or a smoker, they'll be able to work out.
They can work out at the same intensity.
Yeah.
You would recommend that?
Not that. I mean internally.
Okay.
They can still manage motivation to work out. But when you start thinking of food or alcohol or cigarettes or drugs as things being put inside of your body, then you will, realize ki, okay, I only need to put things inside of my body which is good for you. And if you don't do that, then eventually it is going to lead to some disease. You will see that all these cancers that we talk about, how do they develop? Everything develops from your lifestyle. All diseases are built from your lifestyle problems. Even genetical diseases, they happen because your parents' lifestyle wasn't good, right? If you make kids at a wrong age, or if you go with a genetically different individual, then that can lead to genetic problems. All diseases, they start from lifestyle problems, like genetic abnormalities. They occur because of parents who've not followed the right lifestyle, right? So even let's say you're someone who consumes unhealthy food on a daily basis, junk food, you are likely to develop ulcerative colitis or gastric cancer eventually, right? And it will progress in stages. First, you will have acidity. Then you will have gastric ulcers, duodenal ulcers. Then you will have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. And then you will have gastric cancer. So it is because of that same lifestyle you followed throughout your life, right? Someone who's a smoker, you will start with breathlessness. You will start with chest pain. You will start with low endurance, low motivation. And eventually it's going to go to asthma. It's going to go to bronchitis. Then it will go to respiratory cancer eventually, after a lot of years. So you won't get cancer immediately. You'll get it at 50, 60. But the cancer you get is because of the lifestyle you followed throughout 60 years. So in the end, everyone dies. You can choose how to die. Do you want to die with a lot of pain and suffering? Or do you want to die peacefully? Like, okay, I'm still fit and fine. And I want to die happily.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, okay, once I'm old, what will I do in life? If I'm bedridden and I can't do anything else. So is that a way you want to live? And of course the pain hurts, and being on medications, that is a whole new problem. People who follow an unhealthy diet now, they might not get diabetes now, but once you put on a lot of fat, you might not be diabetic when you're fat. But 30 years down the line, if you keep on just putting a lot of weight in your body and keep on eating unhealthy food, you will end up getting diabetes and hypothyroid and hypotension and all of that. So yeah, I think all diseases are based on lifestyle. Again, what was the question that we were talking about?
We were mainly talking about, that's it. Like I started off with asking you about alcohol and smoking and how people can manage that and stuff like that. And then we led to all this. Yeah.
So if you want to manage alcohol and smoking, you should essentially start with going slow and thinking long term. Number one is have that acceptance ki bhai, this is bad for you. Even if you want to do it, accept ki it's bad for you.
Yeah.
If you don't accept, you can't change. And then eventually you need to start focusing on not having that fallback, not experiencing withdrawal symptoms. You will definitely experience withdrawal symptoms, but you need to try to reduce it as much as possible in such a way that, okay, you think of it as a minor achievement. One day if you smoke 20, next day if you smoke 19, it won't seem very big. But if you think long term, like today 20, this week 20, next week 19, then next week 17, 18, 17, then after 2 months, 3 months, 15, from 20 to 15, and then you look back, then you realize, oh, I've had a major difference in how much I'm smoking. So short changes which you don't realize on a daily basis, but over a long period of time, it feels like an achievement is what you should do, especially with quitting alcohol and cigarettes. And this is for people who are chronic alcoholics or chronic cigarette smokers and want to like change their lifestyle and improve their health. If you're someone who just drinks 1 glass a day, you can just quit directly. So even if it's, let's say, 1 glass a day is also too much, but what you can do is do it 5 glasses a week, then 4 glasses a week, 3 glasses a week, 2 glasses, and then eventually quit. So it has to be a long-term game rather than a immediate game. And if you have a good coach working with you, then you can plan it out. You can have a roadmap as to how you will do it, because once you have a roadmap, you're more likely to follow what you thought. If I say right now that, okay, after this I will go to I will eat chicken and rice, if I plan this, then I might not do it because I forgot. right? But if you plan it out, you take some time to remember what you have to do, then it will most likely it will have a higher chance of you following it rather than it just lingering in your mind. So I just got my LASIK surgery done, and I'm supposed to do about 12 drops of one medicine, 10 drops of one medicine, 6 drops on a daily basis. So I thought I can remember this, right? And I'll do it. But then I didn't do it for 3 days. And then I just made a chart, an Excel sheet, and every time I put a drop, I have to tick. So now I can properly manage putting these drops, and I'm more likely to get it done the way it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So if you document it, if you track it, and if you keep on enjoying the achievements over a long period of time, you're likely to follow the plan and get better results rather than just keeping it in your mind. So that's how you should quit. And I mean, alcohol, smoking, all of it has direct action on your health, of course. So in terms of how much you eat, your appetite is affected, and how you digest food, that is affected. Your muscle protein synthesis is also affected. Your hormonal balance is affected. Everything is affected. So you should definitely quit that, but eventually, not like in one go. Because if you do that, then the second something bad happens, you'll just come back to the same problem. And yeah, that's essentially it.
Can you also like tell me some of the myths of working out and the gym that people have a belief, a preconceived notion, which is actually not true?
So training till failure is one thing. I know we've discussed this before, that you should try to reach muscle failure rather than balance failure. And now I'm saying that you should not train till failure. So it might sound like contradictory, but it's not the same. So you should definitely try to reach close to failure. But even in that, you should reach close to muscle failure rather than balance failure or test failure. So people think that if they pull out, get that extra rep done once they're failing their muscles, then it's going to give them the best results. But aisa nahi hota. In fact, if you reach failure, you're going to have a problem recovering as well, and you're going to have more soreness as well. So and it's not really good for growth. So if you can lift, say, 10 kgs of a dumbbell for 10 reps, and if you try to reach, you've reached almost failure, right? You can't lift properly anymore. You're anyways not producing the strength that your muscle needs to produce. You will start cheating on the exercise. You will move your shoulders, you will move your elbow, and you will try to cheat to get that 2 more reps in. But if you're cheating, your muscle is not experiencing force at all, right? It's experiencing lesser force. And if you've already trained your muscle with higher force, then giving it lesser force is not going to add to anything. So might as well not push past your limits, right? You can just stay in your rep range and train close to failure. I think 2 to 3 sets right below, 2 to 3 reps right before failure is something that you should be in the ballpark of. So yeah.
And what's your take on caffeine?
Oh, caffeine is great, man.
Caffeine is great.
I love caffeine, especially for myself. But you should consume caffeine, especially if you're trying to improve your performance and take it to the next level. You should not consume caffeine just because सुबह उठ के coffee पीने का मन होता है, or consuming caffeine because focus बढ़ता है, or to avoid sleep. That's what a lot of teenagers do. कि रात को exam है तो Red Bull पी लिया and then exam में पढ़ रहे. So if you want to consume caffeine, don't consume it through Red Bull, don't consume it through coffee. Try to supplement it.
Okay.
Because if you drink coffee, for example, I drink a lot of black coffee, right? But that's just a routine for me. It's not because black coffee is the best source of caffeine. And the problem with coffee is that the caffeine content is something that is very volatile. It can be 40 mg of caffeine, it can be 90 mg of caffeine. And you won't know कि आपके sachet में कितना caffeine है. And you're drinking it for caffeine and उसमें मालूम पड़ा 20 mg caffeine ही है. So no benefit in that. And उसके साथ साथ coffee has a lot of anti-nutrients as well, which can hinder your digestion and they don't add value. So as I said, when you eat something or drink something, you should change your mentality to a way कि whatever you're putting inside of your mouth, you're putting it to improve your health, right? To improve your performance. And putting anti-nutrients in your body is not going to improve anything. But if it's a habit for you, if it's something that you do on a daily basis, then it's fine. And if that's something that you don't care about a lot reaching peak performance, then you can consume coffee. You can consume slightly less useful foods just because it's a habit. But if you want to get the best use for caffeine, go for a caffeine supplement rather than relying on caffeine from coffee or from Red Bull. Red Bull especially, or any of these fizzy drinks, because that carbonated water is going to make you slow.
Yeah.
And if you consume that for caffeine, it's likely going to affect your digestion, which will then affect your mental performance, and then it will affect your workout performance as well. So I think everyone knows this, but when you are sick from your stomach, when your stomach hurts, you just not able to do anything.
Yeah.
Just lie on bed all day and it still sucks, right? So your gut is directly connected to your mind, and if you have a weak gut, if you have an irritated gut, then you're going to have an irritated day as well. You won't be able to do anything. So don't consume these drinks for caffeine. Just go for a caffeine supplement, as good as that. There's not a lot of brands in India that offer high quality caffeine because it is not approved by FSSAI to sell caffeine as a nutraceutical.
Why is that?
I don't know, man. FSSAI doesn't do everything as per health. So even recently they released an article saying protein powders shouldn't be consumed. And while I understand the intentions that they have, what happens in India is that there's too many people, and you can't help every single person individually.
Yeah.
You can't make a personalized plan as a healthcare provider. You have to err to the side of caution. You have to tell them ki don't eat sugar. You have to tell them ki walk 10,000 steps. You have to tell them avoid protein powders. Now, the reason for that is understandable because there's too many people and you can't make a personalized plan. So, why are you supposed to not eat too much sugar? Is because sometimes people go overboard with the amount of sugar that they eat. Right. And sugar isn't the problem. Sugar hides the taste of the unhealthy food items that is present. And say something like a mithai or something like a cake, there's other unhealthy stuff in that food item.
Yeah.
And sugar is masking the taste of all of that and making you feel good. So it's not sugar that is the culprit. It's the other food items that are put over there. And if you are someone as an athlete or someone working out at the gym, you can actually use sugar to improve your performance. So sugar is not bad.
Yeah.
And sugar should definitely be a part of your calculated routine. But again, for most people, they don't think of sugar as something to improve performance. For most people, it is that junk food and sugar goes hand in hand. So then FSSAI has to release a guideline. They can't just release a guideline saying ki, consume sugar in moderation because sugar is healthy for you. They have to say don't consume sugar.
Yeah.
Because the world will not understand. They will see the part consume sugar. In moderation, वो नहीं देखेगा कोई भी. They'll just see consume sugar.
Yeah.
So
and what is moderation also? No? Moderation might be different for different people.
Exactly. So you need to calculate it well and you need to do some of your own understanding. And similarly for protein powders, right? There are brands that are scamming their way, and FSSAI cannot do anything. Everyone is blaming FSSAI, but what do? They don't have that much budget to just test every single protein powder out there, every single batch. They just can't do it. They don't have that amount of money. Maybe if corruption was lesser, then they would be able to do it. But corruption isn't less. And one single person cannot do anything about it. So they have to deal with it. And due to this, a lot of companies end up producing fake products for maximizing profit. And in India, the mentality is simple. It's not go for the best quality products, it's go for the cheapest product. Say whey protein, right? They'll go for something. They won't go for a 3,000 rupee whey protein because it's healthy and it's sourced from a well organized place and a good company. They will go for 1,000 rupee protein because whey protein ही तो है. And उसमें जब additives मिलेंगे तो it's going to cause some or the other problem, right? So since most people think that they have to get a cheap protein, FSSAI also has to release an article saying avoid consuming protein powders. Because if they say consume protein powders and choose them wisely, people are going to see consume protein powder. They won't see choose it wisely.
Yeah, that's there.
So FSSAI has to do it, and then you'll see a lot of influencers coming out and then blaming FSSAI for all the misery in the country. But the misery is less due to FSSAI and more due to these creators out there who sell out stupid content and advice that doesn't make sense just for the sake of views. But I guess it's fair on everyone's part because even they want to grow their work and they have to. If they share their knowledge, then that's all they can do. They can't go out of their way to get the best knowledge and do that. So yeah, that's the reality, and I think it again long-term game for this as well. It'll improve eventually.
And you said that you got LASIK done. I was planning to get it done myself. So firstly, will it be a safe thing? And also, what's the procedure after the operation? Like how many days you have to stay away from the screen, stuff like that.
So okay. So what's your number, by the way?
I haven't checked it, but it's pretty not good. And I will be checking it soon. But I'm pretty sure I have a number.
So you're wearing contacts, right?
No, I'm not.
Achha, so you roam around without specs?
Yeah.
Achha, so you might not have that much of a number, no? Can you see the football while playing?
Definitely I can. It's just that when I'm looking at a long distance, I'm not able to read. Like earlier I used to be able to, now that's become weak.
Okay, so I think a LASIK vision treatment can be beneficial for you because there is something called as supervision. So LASIK is of a lot of types. There's femto LASIK, there's normal basic LASIK, there's PRK treatment, there's Contura treatment, there's smile treatment. So all of these are various forms of LASIK. They're all laser surgery, but they're basically different machines from different companies. So it also depends on your personal preferences and how your lifestyle is and how your cornea is, even that. So if you're someone who doesn't indulge in a lot of sport, if once a week for someone like you don't really need to go for a smile treatment, which is generally expensive. It's about 1.5 lakh. So that one creates so what happens in LASIK is that the surgeon will cut off your cornea. They will create a flap. They will remove the flap and then the laser will do all the work.
Okay.
So it's like a 2-minute treatment. 2 minutes for each eye and then you're done. That's it. You get in the room. The surgeon you're already under anesthesia. So you won't feel any pain. And then within 2 minutes, you're out, full clear HD vision, and then everything is great. So the flap that is created is big in normal LASIK, but it's just a slit in a smile LASIK. So it depends on person to person and the corneal thickness that you have as to which LASIK you should get. But for that, I think just consulting with the ophthal, who will run you through a pre-operation procedure, will help you understand which one is the best for you. You'll get the most approved ones. So if you want this clarity in vision, I have done a Contura LASIK.
Okay.
So normal vision is 6/6. Contura LASIK is 6/5 vision. So you have something called as a supervision. So let's say someone who has no number, 0 number, I will be able to see farther away from even him in terms of clarity because the Contura LASIK improves not just your vision, but it also corrects all the corneal aberrations. So any irregularities on your cornea is treated by the Contura LASIK. So that one is one that you can go for if you want supervision. And then it also depends on which surgical procedure you're going ahead with as per your corneal thickness. So the ophthal will guide you for that. But if you're doing a normal LASIK, I would suggest just go for the Contura one. If you want to go for a sport-specific LASIK, then go for the smile one.
And how many days after you're saying you should avoid screens and stuff? What was your...
So, you're ideally supposed to avoid screens for just 2 days.
Okay.
Even 1 day is fine. But everything else, so you cannot shower. You cannot take a head bath for a week.
Okay.
So what I did was I just use a hand shower for my lower, like anything below my neck. And then my hair, I just wet it by putting it under the sink, and my face was just wiped with water on my forehead and my cheeks and everything. So no water from inside of your eye. You cannot get a head bath.
Okay.
You cannot play sports for 2 weeks. So
does that include gym also, or gym you can go?
Gym you should ideally avoid for 1 week.
Okay.
Even 2 weeks उसमें भी बोला होता है. But I started going to the gym in just 4 days.
Okay.
Because as I said, I cannot not work out. it's just not practical for me. So you can work out. You don't at the gym. Just don't go too intense, because what will happen is that you will increase your intraocular pressure, which is basically pressure inside of your eye, and that delays the healing of the flap. So no gym for at least a week, no sports for at least 2 weeks, because that flap can get dislodged as well.
Okay.
So you might have to go another surgery if that happens. So no sports for 2 weeks, no head bath for 1 week, no gym for 1 week, no screen for 1 day, because that day anyways you're going to be sleeping the entire day. So that's all right. And drops, big pain. You have to go 40 drops a day for the next month.
The drops you took now, was it that?
Yeah,
Okay.
the same drops. So you've got a lubricant, you've got one corticosteroid, Elpred, and then you've got one antibacterial, antimicrobial, and you've got one so something called as cyclosporin, which is an immunosuppressant. So you've got these 4 medications. So since the flap is coming out and then it's going back in, the body treats it as a foreign body. So उसके against antibody reaction ना हो, उसके लिए these drops are needed. And you may also have dry eyes, उसके लिए lubricants are needed.
Okay.
And infection ना हो, उसके लिए antimicrobial. So
Yeah.
40 drops a day for 1 month.
But it's a 1 month thing only, so that's fine. And it's giving you a life.
No,
now
it's actually not a 1 month thing. If you have dry eyes after your LASIK, you have to continue the drops for an entire year. If not a year, if you still have dry eyes after that, you have to do it permanently.
Damn.
But that mostly doesn't happen. Very rare that you have, not very rare, say 30% chance that you might have dry eyes. But dry eyes is fine because that's just one drop.
Yeah.
But other things ka drop, if that gets extended, that's a pain.
And yeah, also before we wrap up, I just wanted to know about your university, your course. So can you tell me about it?
So my course is basically called the Harsh Kanwar University, HQ for now. And the motto is leading fitness forward, scientific fitness forward. I'm planning to rebrand it to a better name, so maybe Conquer or something along the same lines. I'll come to that on my social media. But the course is basically a comprehensive course that helps you develop the skills to be a competent fitness professional in terms of knowledge, the skills to make your own business, and to execute it on social media, to market yourself and create a personal brand. This is all that I teach in the course. So as we were discussing now, all the fitness certifications don't make a lot of sense because it's a money making business for them. And what happens is that companies or businesses or courses, they take the money from the trainer, they give them a certification, and that's all the trainer wants. He or she doesn't care about how much information they're getting, how much education they're getting. They just want the certification so that they can work at a gym. It's become a formality that, okay, you're paying me 30K, I'm giving you a certificate, going to the gym, you're getting a 30K salary on a monthly basis. So it's like an investment return thing. There's no comprehensive education. Even the tests, they're pretty basic and very easy to cheat on as well. I've spoken to fitness trainers who have just copied their entire exams on Google, and since it's all online,
there's no way to monitor also.
There's no way to monitor how they do it and how much they're educated, and why will they monitor? Because they don't care. All they care is about making their business. They've got a recorded course.
And if they cared also, they could have those softwares where they track your browser and stuff like that, but they don't really seem to care.
Yeah. Even if you could just keep that for formality, I'm sure they haven't gone all in with the privacy protection thing. So so fitness certifications aren't the best. So that's why I launched the Harsh Kanwar University. It's practically how you can learn everything about fitness. And I try to teach people the skills that I know that have helped me grow over the year in the fitness industry, online, and the past few years offline. So everything that I know about fitness is covered here, and it is comprehensive enough to make you competent and teach you the science behind exercise and nutrition, while teaching you the skills to make more money. Content creators are making a lot of money, and I think the real business in the fitness industry is online. If you're looking for a certification to be a general trainer at a gym, I cannot help you with that. I will give you a certificate, but that certificate will not be valuable for you to get a gym job. And I will not recommend you to get a gym job. If you tell me that you want to get a job at the gym, I won't give you a certification. I will remove you from the course. That's essentially it. So I think as a fitness professional, working at a gym is the worst thing you can do, because all you're doing throughout the day at the gym is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just helping people lift weights.
Exactly.
Is that what you wanted your passion to become? Because okay, you like to train people, but it becomes a repetitive thing. Every single day, the same person comes, same few people come, and then you're just counting all day long. I think that's not how I would perceive fitness as a passion for. I think the best way to follow your passion is to practice it. And if you want to really practice fitness, you should deal with clients who are not getting any results at all, no matter how much they've tried. You should understand and learn the science, and go all comprehensive with your learning of scientific fitness, practically exercise science and nutrition. So scientific fitness boils down to two main parts. One is exercise science, which has biomechanics and kinesiology, pretty much the same. We also have human anatomy. For nutrition, we have dietary habits, and we've got biochemistry and how you can prepare a good diet. Not just selecting foods, but cooking it, mixing it, what goes well, interactions, all of that. So in terms of scientific education, everything is covered to make you a competent professional, and not covered in a way कि आप आज पढ़ाई करोगे 6 महीना, उसके बाद आप काम करने लग जाओगे या इंटर्नशिप करोगे. It is, you learn while you work. If I tell you that you get a hypothyroid patient, right? बुक में तो लिखा होगा कि भाई हाइपोथायरॉइड वाले को मेडिकेशन लीवोथायरोक्सिन होती है, उसके साथ ये ऐसे डील करने, गोइट्रोजन अवॉइड करने. You might not really care about it then. You might just skip it, thinking not important topic, right? So if you actually get a hypothyroid patient at the same time for nutrition consulting, you might know the guidelines and you might remember it for the rest of your time. So not only do you learn how to be a competent scientific professional, but you also learn how to make more money and provide some good value services out there, and just change the dynamics of the industry. And everything I know, all the trade secrets, there's a lot of secrets in the fitness industry, all of it is shared in the course. And I also help people understand how you can market yourself. Marketing is something that everyone should know, especially if you're a business owner or someone wanting to run a business, and how you can create a personal brand, right? If you see all the creators out there, they will have a similar vibe in all of their videos and all of their appearances. So how they create that personal brand, how they market themselves to the public, why people people purchase from them, how they can sell their stuff and provide value. So people perceive making money or selling courses as a bad thing. But if the course is actually helping people make more money, why is it a bad thing? You're delivering value and making money at the same time. You're making money for what you know and what you have and what you've spent time for. So I will also teach people the reality as to how to deal with a lot of things. Recently, a fellow creator of mine reached out to me and said, my video got very viral, but I got a lot of hate comments. So how do you deal with it? Because I'm someone who gets a lot of hate comments, considering I have a lot of controversial opinions. So I told him that, see, you might have 1,000 likes on your video, and you might have 100 hate comments. But when people see your video, they feel two things. Either they like you or they hate you. Or if it's a neutral thing, they just scroll, right? If they like you, it is harder for someone to express the feeling that they like you. So they'll just give a double tap. But if someone hates you,
then make it known,
then it's easy to open the comment and type something bad. But it takes a lot of good stuff to just open the comment section and comment something positive. Because commenting something negative is by instinct. But commenting something positive is effort. So people generally don't take effort for such stuff, especially if they're scrolling reels on social media. So I told him that there's 1,000 people who have liked your video. They've intentionally double tapped your video because of what you said. And I think that should be motivating enough to take you ahead all the way. And talking about hate, as I said, I'm someone who has a lot of hate and a lot of controversial opinions. I think it's good that people hate, because if they didn't hate, then I wouldn't get engagement.
Yeah.
And if you're
And it's fine to be hated for what you believe in, right?
yeah, and once you build something, I have not built my profile completely yet, but once you go to say 100k followers, 200k followers, and you've built something, then people start respecting you more, and that hate slowly turns into them liking you. And the fact that someone is hating you means that you're on their mind actively. So I think you should utilize that rather than feeling sad about it.
Absolutely.
It's better to have people talking about hating you rather than people not talking about you at all. So if you're out there as a professional, I think worrying about hate is terrible. So the reason why I talk about this is because this is exactly what I do in my course. Not only do you get competent, not only do you learn the skills to make money and to run a successful business, how to market and brand yourself, but you also get personal guidance from me. Everything that I know, I try to teach it.
Yeah.
And I try to articulate words to help people be much, much better and perform better in the field of fitness. So you actually get personal guidance with me on a regular basis. So it's not mentioned in the course as such, but it's a part of it. So yeah.
So where can people find you, and where can they find the course? How can they enroll?
So you can go to harshkanwar.com. There you will find all my services, or there will always be a link in my bio. So that's
Okay. And your Insta handle is?
My Insta handle is Dr. Harsh Kanwar.
Dear Harsh Kanwar.
YouTube also same.
Okay.
And in my bio you can find all the links to my courses and my coaching.
Lovely. So I think that's what everyone will be doing now, after how much you've taught them over the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks a lot for joining me again. And when you're in town, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
And we're doing a longer one. We'll probably shoot it out in 2 parts.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again. And thanks guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
Any last words?
No, absolutely not. I think we've covered too much. Maybe
Yeah.
in the next episode.
Next episode, we have a lot more to cover.
We have a
All
lot
your controversial opinions.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay tuned guys. All right. Bye-bye.